In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a multi-view to make sure that all of the slides are routed to where they need to be routed to. So to start, let me just say this is our preview window. Normally, this is just on main screens, and so whatever you have on the main screen will show up here. But if we want to see what the alpha key looks like, that's what the alpha key. It looks exactly like the main screen because we want that to be full screen for the broadcast. The alpha key is basically the video that we send over to the switcher for the webcast. To Atrium, this will be whenever we do baptisms, we'll be able to see what information and when we are sending to a TV in the atrium for baptism for the families. And then confidence monitor, this is what the band sees. This is the screen behind the booth on the wall. We're going to call that the confidence monitor. And so at this point in the service, that's all they see. They have the time, and then they have whatever content we're sending them. So if we go back to the main screens and click this first slide, this is what we're sending to the main screens. But if we want to check the alpha key, this is what we're sending to the webcast. This would have live video behind it. To the atrium, we wouldn't be sending that to the atrium. And the confidence monitor still is showing just the time and a copy of what's on the main screens. But we don't really want to have to, for every song, switch between these. We want basically one view that aggregates all of these video destinations. So to do that, we're going to come over here to Screens and Configure Screens. And we want that to be a stage screen. So I'm going to add a stage screen. Now, select New Placeholder 1080p 59.94. That's just the video resolution that we use. It's the standard. But we want that to be a placeholder because we're not actually sending that outside of ProPresenter. We're only viewing it inside ProPresenter. So 1080p. And let's go ahead and just double click that and just call this multi-view. All right, so that's done. Now, instead of going individually to see what it looks like on different screens, we can just pull down to multi-view. Well, still doesn't look right, so let's do this. On screens, pull down to your multi-view in the menu under stage. Remember that was a stage screen that we did. Multi-view, and we're going to come down here and select the multi-view layout for that. So now, when we click our pre-service slides, that goes everywhere that it should be going. Same with that countdown. Now we have our lower third, so you can just verify that yes, we're sending the correct thing to the different places. Now we go to some music. All right, this is what we want it to look like on the main screens. This is what it looks like on the webcast. This is what it looks like on the stage display behind us, or the confidence monitor behind us. And then after that song, we go to announcements. Now it looks even a little bit different. This is Kyle's current event that he's talking about and the next thing that he's going to talk about. So now that you click it, it's showing up everywhere it needs to show. Webcast for the alpha key, main screens for the main screen layout. And then you can see, we're on the last slide, so there's nothing next. Gives him the current time and his current and next slide. For the sermon, now it's back to, it's really showing the same thing everywhere because that's what we want. We want that to be as large as we can for Bill to be able to see that. All right. Then after the sermon, we typically have a song, but see how every time I hit that first slide, it is changing. Most noticeably, it's changing the stage layout. So again, we've got lyrics for the congregation to see, lower thirds for the online audience, and current slide, next slide for the musicians to read for lyrics. Then we get to the last, and we don't want anything on the alpha key, because even though everybody's leaving and we're showing slides on the main screen, we still want to be shooting video for the webcast. So that's it. That's how to configure and use your multi-view. One last word. If you will notice, let me go back up to announcements. And let's take a look at the main screens. I want you to notice over here, whenever I change slides, that's a little jumpy. It's the resolution on that transition is kind of stroby. It's doing it in steps. If you can see that. That's because we are rendering probably 8 or 9 high definition video outputs from this computer. And while this computer is a very high performing computer, you know, asking 8 or 9 1920 by 1080 high definition video outputs from it is asking a little bit much. So while the multi-view is great for just confirming that everything is going where you think it should and making sure that it looks right, it is not doing us any favors for our video performance. So before the service, it's a good idea just to go ahead, and I do this every week, by the way. Go to configure screens, take your multi-view, hit the delete button. We don't need that during the worship service.